Hello and welcome to this edition of FYI Weekly, your official source for City of Greensboro news and information. The Greensboro City Council approved reimbursing the State Department of Transportation up to $20 million for utility construction services supporting the Greensboro-Randolph Megasite project. Council also approved $500,000 to demolish properties considered not in compliance with housing codes. A contract for more than $375,000 was approved for the partial closure of Phase 3 at the White Street landfill. And last but not least, City Council approved more than $2 million for the city's public bus and bus facilities grant program. This money will support the purchase of dispatch software and maintenance equipment to install Greensboro Transit Agency bus shelters throughout the city, as well as to purchase 9 replacement vans for GTA's paratransit service. The Greensboro Planning Department is working with the Greensboro Housing Development Partnership. They are accepting proposals to develop single-family homes on 12 properties within the Old Ashboro redevelopment area. The 12 sites are scattered among the area, and their development is part of a focused redevelopment effort by the city and community residents. Gap financing of up to $50,000 per lot is available upon successful demonstration of a gap in the development budget. All information, including how to request gap financing and how to demonstrate a gap in the development budget, can be found in the Request for Proposal or RFP document. This RFP will remain open until all lots have been developed. Price of the properties will be determined by a certified appraiser according to fair market value. For more information, please call Hart Crane in the Planning Department at 336-373-2748. The city is also requesting proposals for periodic planning services and technical expertise. The goal is to create an on-call agreement with a pool of qualified planning firms and professionals to work with the Planning, Parks and Recreation, and Neighborhood Development departments as needed. The deadline for submissions is April 15th. Preparations for demolition of the structure at 201 North Eugene Street are underway, starting with installing a fence around the work zone perimeter. Sidewalks along the work area will be closed next. The demo and subsequent site preparation for future development is expected to be complete by the end of June, weather permitting. Motorists are urged to use alternate routes to avoid the area or expect delays when traveling near the work zone. The North Eugene Street land was part of a City Council approved land swap with Carroll Corporation to facilitate the city's development of the Eugene Street parking deck downtown. The North Eugene Street property will be turned over to the Carroll Corporation at the end of this project. The city developed a partnership with Cone Health to share a series of brief and informative videos designed to inspire you to make better choices when it comes to healthy living. Following these tips is an easy way for each of us to improve our quality of life. Let's take a moment to check out today's news for your health.
Often, when we think about heart disease and the things that we need to do to prevent it, the focus is on things that we need to stop. But today, we're going to focus on things that we can start doing to improve our cardiovascular health. We should all be moving our bodies at least 150 minutes per week. This can be moderate activity like swimming, going for a brisk walk, mowing your lawn, or even dancing. If you can't do 5 30-minute intervals at a time, start small. You can even start at just 5 or 10 minutes and work your way up. You'll be surprised how quickly you'll be able to do more. Increasing your exercise not only limits your risk of heart disease, but it also lowers your risk of developing dementia, many cancers, and diabetes. Try to include lots of fruits and vegetables throughout the day. If you're someone who likes sugary drinks, try to make a pact with yourself that before you have any of those beverages, you'll have at least 1 or 2 waters to start your day. If you like meat, then stick with the lean meats, like chicken or turkey, rather than red meat. We also recommend that you have fish at least twice per week. And the oilier, the better. Salmon, trout, sardines, tuna, these are all fish that are high in omega-3, which is helpful in lowering the risk of heart disease. Not sleeping enough has more effects than just being sleepy the next day. We should all be trying to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And unfortunately, sleeping in on the weekends doesn't help to make up for the effects of lost sleep during the week. Trying to fall asleep at the same time each evening and wake up at the same time each morning. Also, limit screen time in the hour before you go to bed. Bright lights from cell phones and tablets and television can interfere with your body's ability to go to sleep in a natural way. We live in a stressful world, but how much stress you experience and how you react to it can increase your risk of developing many health problems, including high blood pressure. Stress also can lead to bad habits like smoking or overeating or not exercising. High blood pressure and these habits are all linked to damaging your heart arteries. If you find that you're stressed, think about ways that you can try to reduce that, like exercise, spending time with friends or family, gardening, yoga, whatever brings you joy. If after making these changes you still feel stressed or anxious, you might want to talk with your doctor, a therapist, or a religious advisor. We should all know what our blood pressure is. For most people, your blood pressure should be less than 130/80. We should also regularly check our cholesterol levels. Additionally, make sure that your doctor is checking to see what your hemoglobin A1C is. It tells us if you have diabetes or prediabetes. Finally, know your BMI, or your body mass index. This is calculated based on your height and your weight. This number will tell you if you're at ideal body weight, overweight, or obese. It's also important to know your family history. Know if people in your family have high blood pressure, strokes, or heart attacks. It's also important to know the age they were when they got these things. If men had heart attacks before 55 or women before 65, that's considered premature coronary artery disease. And that raises your risk of having these events at a younger age in life. Not only should you know, but it's important that you also tell your healthcare provider. Make sure that they know your family history so that you can work together as a team to limit your risk of heart disease in the future. Although heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the United States, by making these changes, you can start reducing your risk. If you want more information on how to take care of your heart, go to conehealth.com/heart. I'm Dr. Tiffany Randolph.
The Let's Talk Law series continues with the topic of My Gender, My Rights, and Creative Greensboro will host the next artist residency in mid-April. We'll have those stories and more news coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to FYI Weekly. The city's Human Rights Commission is hosting its next Let's Talk Law series. This month's session is titled My Gender, My Rights, Transgender Rights and the Law. This will take place from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, April 14th. The series is free, but registration is required. After registering, participants will be able to join the meeting via Zoom using meeting ID 810-2268-0213 or join by phone by dialing 301-715-8592. Featured speakers include Sarah Saint, attorney with Brooks Pierce, and Felix Jones, chair of the Greensboro Transgender Task Force. They will discuss Greensboro's ordinance, local laws and policies in employment, health, housing, name changes, and other topics that impact the experiences of transgender people. This is the 5th session of the 6-part series focused on access to legal help with various focused topics such as immigration, expungement, and probation. Creative Greensboro will host an artist residency called Revivolution, presented by Royal Expressions Contemporary Ballet. This will be featured from April 11th to April 24th at the Stephen D. Hires Theater in the Greensboro Cultural Center on North Davie Street. The residency will include community workshops, master dance classes, live performances, and collaborations with Black-led arts organizations and artists. Tickets for Revivolution are available online. Following a 4-year hiatus, the residency will serve as a return to the stage for the Royal Expressions professional dance artists. The residency demonstrates the organization's evolution to better serve artists of color and the community at large. Through the residency and its community events, Royal Expressions seeks to advocate for equitable funding and opportunities for Black artists, For more information about Revivolution, visit the Royal Expressions Contemporary Ballet website. The residency at the Hires program provides rent-free 1 to 6 week residencies for dance, theater, music, film, and poetry projects led by Guilford County-based creative individuals and organizations. For more information about the residency, contact Creative Greensboro's Performing Arts Coordinator, Todd Fisher, at 336-373-2974. Greensboro's Department of Transportation, on behalf of the Greensboro Urban Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, has updated its public participation plan and Title VI non-discrimination policy. Residents have an opportunity to review and submit comments on the updated MPO Title VI plan by Wednesday, April 13th, and the public participation plan by Thursday, April 28th. The plans are available on the MPO's website. Comments may be submitted online or via email. The updated plans will be considered for adoption by the MPO's Technical Advisory Committee at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, May 11th. The meeting will be held virtually. For more information about the meeting, please visit the website or call Tram Truong at 336-373-2903. The Water Resources Department wants you to accept a national challenge. Coming up after the break, we'll talk about all the ways you can do your part to conserve water. Stay with us. Welcome back to FYI Weekly. If you've noticed lots of litter around the city, there is an opportunity for you to do your part to help keep the green clean, and there's also opportunities for water conservation. Joining me now to talk about both of those topics is Lane Roberts. She is the Public Education Coordinator with the Water Resources Department. Hello, Lane. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Always good to see you. So we're talking about water resources, and you are our go-to person when it comes to letting the community know how they can get involved. So what are the campaigns you have coming up for residents in particular if they're looking for something to do volunteer-wise?
Yeah, so for our volunteers, we have our Adopt a Stream program, and that's a program where volunteers can adopt a stream section. The commitment is for 2 years, and you do have to clean the stream at least twice a year for those 2 years, and we do offer a sign bearing that group or organization's name for the duration of their adoption. And so we do provide gloves, grabbers, bags, buckets, and scales for those who are interested. We used to only provide gloves and bags, but we found that grabbers are helpful. We're actually transitioning to the buckets because it's a way to reduce the amount of bags that we use.
Oh, yeah.
And then we actually decided to add the scales because it's really helpful to understand the amount of waste in pounds associated with the debris that you're collecting is really helpful.
And I was about to say, people would be surprised probably to know how much is collected. And, you know, you see litter around the community in the street, the wind picks it up, it eventually gets in the water.
That's exactly right, yeah. So the other thing that we like people to think about too is, like you said, if it's along the creek, it's eventually going to end up in the creek. Mm-hmm. Same thing on curbs or up against buildings, you're typically going to find more debris because the wind has taken it as far as it can. So if you are in your community walking your dog, pick up litter as you're walking. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you have your dog poop bag to pick up dog poop. You can go ahead and pick up some litter on that walk too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All kinds of ways to do something constructive while you're already outside enjoying the outdoors. And it is not a cost associated with adopting a stream.
No cost, just your time.
Okay,
yeah,
well, we need
commitment.
more volunteers.
Yeah.
Now, Keep the Green Clean is obviously an easy and fun tagline. We're Greensboro and we want to keep the green clean. Are there volunteer opportunities with that particular approach?
Yeah, so just in general, be conscious of your disposal. So making sure that you put litter where it's supposed to go in receptacles, recycle where appropriate, and recycle what is recyclable. And making sure too, I think on days of trash service. If you notice debris outside your house after your cart is serviced, maintaining your property will help your neighbors and encourage your neighbors to also maintain their property. So being preventative with your litter is really helpful, I think. But then picking up other people's litter is unfortunately what we have to do sometimes, and that's where the Adopt-A programs come in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if someone's listening and they think this is their thing and right up their alley, how do they get started?
Yeah, so we have an Adopt-A Stream page, and so you can go to the website and everything's laid out there. We have a map that you can search an address to find a stream closest to your location. And then we have an application, an event notification form, and then actually a reporting form for after the cleanup. So the reporting form is really helpful for us to understand if there are any issues with the stream, if there's excess erosion, if there's any type of material that was found that is hazardous potentially. So not only are residents helping or volunteers helping us clean up the stream, there are also extra eyes for us to evaluate the stream per se. So everything they need is on the website, and of course my contact information is on there as well, email and phone number, so if they do have further questions they can reach out.
Okay, and is there a challenge that's going on?
Yeah, so there is the Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation that starts actually in April.
Okay.
And so that was started by the Wayland Foundation to encourage and reinforce positive behavior for conservation change. And so they can go to mywaterpledge.com and represent the city of Greensboro. It is kind of a competition, so you can compete with neighboring cities. I think in the past, locally, Durham has participated, so maybe this year Durham will participate again, and maybe perhaps some other local cities. So it's kind of like a competition, city to city. Mayor Vaughn has given her commitment to her community to pledge and participate. So residents can take the pledge and learn about perhaps new sustainable ways to live. So it's a really great way to expand yourself a little bit and hopefully get the city in the running. Participants can also sign up to be a part of a daily drawing to win prizes, so that's a really great thing. And then there's actually another section where you can recommend a charity to be entered into winning a Toyota Highlander for their organization. So again, another incentive. So you can learn a little bit, you can potentially win some prizes, and you can promote
Conserve our water.
Yeah,
It's all a win-win-win across the board.
Exactly.
Well, Lane, thank you for stopping by and educating us about water conservation and the fun ways we can go about doing it. Do come back and let us know other ways that we can support you and your team on how we can safeguard our water.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Stay tuned for some useful information about Greensboro as we tell you something about the city. That's coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to FYI Weekly. One way to stay informed about decisions that impact you and our city is by attending or tuning in to City Council meetings at 5:30 p.m. on the first and third Tuesday of the month. The fourth Tuesday is reserved for a meeting as needed. The City Council has resumed meeting in the Katie Dorset Council Chamber on Level 2 of the Melvin Municipal Office Building located at 300 West Washington Street. The public is allowed in person, but only in a limited capacity. Those who choose not to be in the building can participate virtually. The Greensboro City Council meetings are broadcast right here on GTN. The meetings are also streamed live on the city's website and on Roku. To review the council meeting schedule and agendas, please visit the city's website. Here's an opportunity to learn a little something about the city. The Stephen Tanger Center for the Performing Arts will present Hamilton from April 6th through April 24th. Tickets are on sale now, but there are some things to consider before purchasing tickets. Most tickets will not exceed $249 plus applicable fees, with a select number of premium seats available for each performance. Beware, numerous third-party brokers are advertising tickets at much higher prices, but they do not actually have tickets. The only official and authorized primary sellers of Hamilton tickets include TangerCenter.com, Ticketmaster.com, the Tanger Center Ticket Office, and the Greensboro Coliseum Box Office. Also, beware of bogus Facebook event pages or tickets for general admission or zones. Hamilton tickets at Tanger Center are in reserved seat locations, so a general admission ticket would not grant you entry to the show. Typing Hamilton Greensboro in a search engine does not necessarily garner legitimate results. For more information, please send an email to the Tanger Center staff. Coming up after the break, we'll showcase our department spotlight, but first, let's meet our neighbors who boomeranged back to Greensboro.
My name is Phoebe Murray, and I am a consultant in workforce retention and recruitment. I came back from the Triangle area because my family was ready to settle down and buy a home. Charles and I are fortunate that we're both primarily remote workers, so we have the flexibility to work from home at this point in our lives when we're trying to spend as much time as possible together with our family and watching our daughter grow up.
My name is JT Job, and I'm a software developer at Innovations for Learning. I left Greensboro in 2005, and it's changed so much since then. Greensboro is great for my career. Since I work remotely as a developer, there's a fantastic community of people working at a co-working space downtown. I love living in Fisher Park because it's so beautiful. The architecture, the trees, everything that you get with the historic district. And we have the beautiful actual park in the middle of the neighborhood that's just a great place to go walking with your dog.
My family and I love to just get out for walks in the neighborhood. We pop into Deep Roots and pick up groceries to cook for dinner. We love strolling around Fisher Park. It's just a beautiful neighborhood to live in.
I like to joke that this is the second pandemic our home's been through. It was built in 1913, so we know it's over 100 years old. My wife Keela and I are expecting our first, and we couldn't be happier to be bringing her up in this beautiful house in this great neighborhood.
Welcome back. The City of Greensboro has more than 20 departments and several divisions committed to serving you, our residents and visitors. Let's go behind the scenes in our department spotlight. Kids and teens ages 10 to 18 are invited to use their voices to write and perform poetry. The poems will focus on social justice topics such as race, gender identity, immigrant status, re-entry, and the impact of criminal records. This is part of a program called Voices of Change. This is a partnership with the Poetry Project and the City of Greensboro's Human Rights Department. Participants will meet on Wednesdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Experience at Call Clue, located at 1700 Orchard Street. Sessions will take place on April 6th, May 4th, and June 21st. The final session is on June 29th at Revolution Mill. The workshops allow the youth to meet with members of the various boards, commissions, and task forces aligned with the Human Rights Department. The goal is for the group to engage in thoughtful conversations about the various human rights topics. Register for the Voices of Change via email. Straight ahead on the other side of the break is this week's Way to Go GSO Shoutout. Stay with us. As we draw to a close, we always want to end on a positive note with our Way to Go GSO Shoutout. This week's shoutout goes to Guilford Works. The employment resource is partnering with Piedmont Area for Triad Healthcare to host the PATH Regional Healthcare Expo. This will be a virtual event from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Wednesday, March 30th. Registration is required. Some of the region's top healthcare employers will be available to meet participants via chat and video conference to discuss job openings. Contact Guilford Works to register. That concludes this edition of FYI Weekly, but you can easily stay connected to the latest city news by linking to us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Alexa users can subscribe to our 5-minute flash briefings, which airs on 90.1 FM and 100.7 FM. Be sure to download our weekly podcast, Talk City Greensboro, and now GTN is streaming on Roku. For all of us here at the City of Greensboro, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.